The Book of Genesis, Part 29. The Book of Genesis, Part 29. James Gunn. As we continue our studies in the life of Abraham, we shall consider the preference of Lot. In this we see the attitude and the action of a carnal man. Let us examine. His survey, Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plains, circle, of Jordan, well watered, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. Here we have the lust of the eye, 1 John 2 verse 16. Eve saw and took, and sin resulted. Lot saw and took, and disgrace resulted. Achan saw and took, and death resulted. It is always dangerous for a Christian to lift up his eyes upon this poor world. Love not the world, 1 John 2 verse 15. His selection, Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan. Lot journeyed east and they separated. Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain. Such expressions indicate deliberate acts on the part of Lot, and they remind us of certain acts recorded in the New Testament. All they of Asia be turned away from me, 2 Timothy 1 verse 15. Demas hath forsaken me, 2 Timothy 4 verse 10. Thou hast left thy first love, Revelation 2 verse 4. Surely these are acts of deliberate departure. A survey of the world, occupation with its places, its politics, its systems, and its philosophies will usually lead to spiritual decline and retrogression. His surroundings, but the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. This is where Lot's own judgment led him. There are two sad sides to spiritual backsliding. First, it leads away from God. Second, it leads into association with the world. There are two expressions which speak volumes in the history of Simon Peter. Peter followed afar off. Peter sat down among them, Luke 22 verses 54 to 55. Peter detached himself from Christ, and then he associated himself with the world. Let us beware lest we too become like Lot or like Peter. May our prayer ever be, draw me, we will run after thee, S. 1:4. As we have considered the details of the choice made by these two brethren, we must now examine in the same detailed manner the consequences of their respective choices. The consequences. All that happened after Lot's departure we do not know, but what the Lord has stated here is full of real significance for us in this dispensation. Among the many things, let us ponder the following. Separation. And the Lord said unto Abraham, after that Lot was separated from him. Abraham had been called to the path of separation from the ungodly at Ur of the Chaldees, but now he, the heavenly and spiritual man, must part from Lot, the carnal and worldly man. Between these two the word of God always draws a line, and I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, 1 Cor 3:1. There are times when we find it necessary for our peace and spiritual prosperity to part from Christians because of carnality. It appears not only expedient that we do so from the viewpoint of discipline, but from the viewpoint of self-preservation. The Thessalonians were to turn from the point of following the disorderly brother to that of following the orderly Apostle Paul, 2 Thessalonians 3 verses 6 to 7. Compensation. How many and how magnificent are the recompenses of God? Did Abraham lose aught by Lot's selfish choice? Did Lot gain anything? Let us find the answer here to the first question. Let us contrast the results of this incident in the lives of these two men. Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plains of Jordan. This was a large territory indeed. Abram, the Lord said unto Abram, lift up now thine eyes and look, northward, southward, and eastward, and westward. How much more vast is this expanse of country that filled the eyes of the obedient man of faith? Then Lot chose him all the plains of Jordan. This was the act of his own will, this was what he wanted, but which actually he never possessed. Abram, all the land which thou sayest to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. This was the result of divine liberality. God gave all to Abraham, and it was his forever. Lot journeyed east. Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched toward Sodom. Even here he was not welcome. When he called these wicked Sodomites brethren, they answered, this fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Genesis 19 verses 6 to 9. Abram, arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Abraham was to possess and enjoy the land. Later Abraham said to certain in the land, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. They, notwithstanding, replied, Hear us, my Lord, thou art a mighty prince among us. Genesis 23 verse 6. It always pays to walk humbly with God in separation from the world. Surely there are divine compensations in the spiritual life. The man who tranquilly leaves all in confidence to God will definitely enjoy the blessings of heaven upon him. Communion. Then Abraham removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. The tent and the altar indicate the pilgrim character and the priestly function of this friend of God. Hebron suggests communion. All the circumstances we have traced only brought Abraham closer to the Lord. The farther he penetrated into his inheritance through grace, the more intimate became his fellowship with God. Lord Guthrie tells how he spent a Sunday in London hearing the great preachers, and how he could not remember a single sentence of the sermons, but how he never forgot a sentence he heard that same Sunday as he passed an open-air meeting. It was uttered by a young fellow, I have never been to college, but I have been to Calvary.